Hey everybody, welcome back to Great Northwest Weaponry. This is Thomas, and today we're going to save an Enfield. So, friend of the channel by the name of Matt reached out to me and informed me that he had a rifle that I may be interested in if I was looking for a project. He said he had a rifle that was in bad shape, needed some help, was missing some parts, and that if I fixed it up, it was mine. So I got everything I need to fix this old warhorse up, and we're going to see if we can get her working. This is a No4 Mk1. It appears to be a later war variant, as it has the expedient battle sight as opposed to the earlier flat sight or the screw top sights that you see on older variations like my Savage next to me here. This is a British manufactured rifle. I'm not 100% certain which manufacturer. You can usually tell by the first number in the serial number. Sadly, the original serial number on this gun is not legible. This thing had been sitting in storage for quite some time. It had a pretty significant amount of rust and grime built up on it when I first got it, as well as a pretty significant amount of what looked like really fine paint splatter. There's actually a little bit of it still present. I left that intentionally because I'm going to show you what I did to remove that. And as such, you may have already gathered, this is going to be a little different than the normal video from this channel. We will be shooting this rifle at the end if we can get it working. So if you just want to see me shoot this rifle, go ahead and zip to the last 2 minutes. But from here on, we're going to be going to a tabletop view, and we're going to see if we can get everything put back together here. I've identified every part that was missing and ordered all of it. It's all here now. So let's go ahead and dig into this old rifle and see if we can put it back together properly. Okay, first order of business. Let's identify everything that is wrong with this example here. I'm going to start by just removing the magazine because that is going to be kind of in our way later, so I'm just going to set that aside. Let's pull out the bolt. There is definitely your most significant problem. You do not want to be firing without a bolt head. So, ordered a bolt head. We've got that. We'll look at that here in a minute. Next, the trigger guard is being held in right now by this right here bolt and this right here screw. These are correct size. I intentionally have them loose so I can easily extract them, but we're not going to be doing a 100% disassembly of the rifle here. I will explain how to do that. If you guys would like a full comprehensive video on disassembling a No4, just let me know and I could definitely arrange that. But today we're just going to be fixing this guy up. So those are going to have to go. Need new trigger guard screws. Now, as we move up the rifle, you can see that we've got some jank going on the front end here. So the front sight protector is absent, and the pins that retain the position of your front barrel band, one is present, one is not. That was a fun one to order, seeing as nobody has just the pins available right now. I was able to get a cap with 2 new pins, so I just had to bite the bullet and order the whole thing, but we only really need the 1 pin. So if we ever need a new nose cap for the bottom piece of the handguard or lose a pin somehow, we're good in that department. We've already got one. I had mentioned that there was some paint kind of speckled on here. You can see a little bit of that there. I'll show you how I removed that. And really, I wish I'd taken a picture of this prior to just compulsively cleaning the crap out of it. But I couldn't help myself. This thing was filthy when I first got it. I must have cleaned the barrel some 30 times. And now it's about as clean as it's ever going to get. I tore the gun down to the bones and cleaned everything. But ballistol is definitely your friend when cleaning old guns. So let's get to fixing this thing up. We're going to go ahead and start with the bolt. as that is going to be a pretty quick and simple process. One thing you're going to need when dealing with Enfield bolts is this here bolt tool. You can get these on eBay. This is for extraction of the firing pin, and when I first got this, the firing pin I did find was a little protruding farther than it should have been. How you're going to fix that is you need to pull out this screw right here, and then using this you can go in, depress the bolt, and tighten. But you cannot tighten or loosen it without extracting that screw. We're going to leave that in place because, like I say, we're not really doing a full disassembly here. We're just looking at how to fix this guy up. I've got a little bag of all the parts that I ordered. I'm just going to keep that with me so we can just look at them one at a time instead of just dumping the whole thing on the table and letting you figure it out. So here is a Enfield bolt head. This one appears to be made by Savage. Fun little thing that I dealt with. I actually had already taken a stab at shooting this and had to postpone the restoration video because of a part breaking. So I ordered the new bolt head, or original bolt head, and it didn't come with the extractor. So I ordered an extractor set which included the screw, and you need just a small flathead. We'll do that. We actually are going to be needing screwdriver for later on, so I've got this little box set with screwdriver in multiple bits. We'll be using more than one over the course of this video. So to install your extractor, what you're going to do is you're just going to take the main actual extractor piece right here, you put it in, put the screw in, and then there's this spring that you can see. It's this little folded spring that you're going to push in through the back, and you might need to kind of tap it in. The first time I shot the rifle after getting the bolt repaired, the new spring that I'd got snapped in two, and you can see, I'm going to actually use the firing pin on the bolt here. There's a little hole right there, and on the spring there's this little dimple that goes into that from the bottom. So when you push it in, it'll stop right there, and that's what retains its position. But like I say, the extractor spring broke the first time I got this fixed up, so that was a disappointment. But now, simply going to screw that on, and if you overscrew it, it won't, it'll go a little past where it's supposed to. You want it to be flush with the side here. And when putting the extractor in, you want to make sure that screw is screwed down all the way flush, or it will stop your bolt dead. You will not be able to close your bolt properly. So that's the bolt. Now for the trigger guard. I'm actually going to explain to you how you would tear the gun down at this point. And then get to the trigger guard. So what you do is pretty simple. You're just going to need a flathead, and you don't want to mess these screws up, but you're going to unscrew your barrel bands, take them off, and then this first piece of the trigger guard ends underneath this center barrel band, so it'll just lift off of this end once you remove that barrel band there. Take off that barrel band, take off this barrel band, take out that piece of wood, and then the second piece of wood is retained back here. And then you can just pull that out and slide it off. At that point, to get the main part of the stock off, you're going to need to remove your trigger guard. And this is where we're going to get to the next parts that we need to replace. So this screw is clearly incorrect. Nobody ever would have used a bolt like that in a rifle. And then got this screw here. Goodbye. And with that, you can just pull your trigger guard free. The trigger itself goes underneath this. Once your trigger guard is free, if you have your barrel bands off, you can take the whole lower part of the stock off at that point. But for our purposes, let's go ahead and put this back together. Like I say, this piece of the trigger guard, or of the trigger itself, goes underneath that piece right there. Probably not the most effective screw to use to try and demonstrate that. How about that? There we go. Right there. That piece right there goes over top of the trigger. And like so, boom. Now, I'm gonna dump on a different part of the table the rest of my parts so I can sift through them and continue. Larger retaining screw goes in here. Just going to get them started for the moment, then we'll bring out the screwdriver. Smaller screw goes in from the left side. You'll notice on number 4, screws go in from the left consistently all the way down the gun. So from the left, get that guy started. Now we're going to need our screwdriver. So want to get the right size of flathead for the job so you don't damage the screws. That appears to be the correct one for the smaller screw. I'm going to need a larger one for the larger screw. So I'm going to set this down, make sure that I'm turning the right way. Okay. This would be better if you have actual gunsmithing screw heads. I don't, but I definitely should. But these will do the trick. You just don't want to reef on it because you can really mangle your original screws, and you don't really want to do that. Now, I do believe that I used the largest of these heads for the next bit. Let's see if I can get it out of the stupid box because I can't get a grip on it. All right. There we go. Now, let's flip it over and check. Yep, that'll do it. You don't want to over tighten, but you want them to be tight. Now, I've noticed with this rifle, there's a little bit of play in the stock. Not enough to be concerning, really, but something to be mindful of. I do believe that is actually why this screw is here, because that is not original. That should not be there, and it goes all the way through. But I'm going to leave it. I believe the reason that it is there, it was just to help with the slipping problem. And as we'd mentioned before, the serial number and everything on this is completely illegible. I'm actually going to flip the rifle around so you can see a little better. None of this is very visible. That looks like maybe a 1942 for date, but I cannot, like this right here should be your serial number, and I cannot read a significant amount of those numbers. So it is what it is. Next order of business is going to be, we're going to go with the nose cap. So this right here is the nose cap that I had ordered. You can see there's one in place and one absentee. When I ordered this, it came with 2 of these guys. We only need 1 today. You can see there's flat ends on it too. Those ends you want to be lined up with the edge of this. So I'm going to push that in. And shoving that thing all the way in with your thumb is going to cause a hole in your thumb. It's not going to feel great. So we are going to gently use a ball peen hammer. There we go. It's in place. Doesn't seem to be going anywhere. All seems to be right with the world there now. So that just leaves us with the front sight protector, of which, though absent now, we have right here. Got a screw in it, and as we've already mentioned, screws go in from the left. You can quickly identify that by just glancing here. Also with the front sight protector, you'll see the back is textured to reduce glare. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out the screw. and this simply slips over the end, and we may need to use the ball peen hammer again for this part because it doesn't really like going on nicely. Gotta separate the ends just a little bit. And it is tough. There we go. Okay, it actually slid on there. Once I got it going, it got going. Screw in from the left. Appears to be going all the way through. Now we're gonna need a smaller bit once more. And this guy, get rid of that. There. Smaller bit. Let's see if this is the correct one. Yes. Get it started real quick. Again, don't want to over tighten, just want it tight. You don't want this to be moving, and it is not moving, so should be good. I'd mentioned I was going to show you what I did to get rid of these paint speckles, and it's very simple, but you don't want to get too aggressive about it. A flathead screwdriver bit, honestly, will do it just fine. You just want to be careful not to remove finish, so just pick little bits of it and scratch it off. Just ever so carefully. Like I say, you don't want to dig into the finish. Whenever you have a rifle like this that's been in storage for a long time, it's going to have problems, and it's going to very seriously need a cleaning. We can go ahead and put the bolt back in now. So you're just going to slide it in and rotate this down, and you're going to need to push this, this right here out of your way so that it goes back into the track. Then you're good. And she locks up nice. I had mentioned this expedient battle sight, and this is something that we haven't talked about in the past. So this is just 300 yards, 600 yards. It's very simple. It was just meant to be an expedient battle sight. It is what it says. Fairly simple. One more thing to look at in regards to the actual disassembly of this. To get the gun apart, you need to get into the butt of the rifle. If you have strong enough thumbnails, you can just lift it up like that, and you can get a screwdriver, a long one, all the way down in there. You're going to need a wide, long screwdriver because there's a bolt attached in here. You're going to want the whole front of the gun taken off already at this point. You're going to want the front stock gone. Just unscrew that bolt, and then this pops free. If you don't have a screwdriver that's quite long enough, you can unscrew the butt plate and take it off to give yourself a little bit more room. But if you can't reach it with the butt plate on, you probably can't reach it with the butt plate off, but you can try. All right. Well, that's it, guys. That's all that was missing. Everything is accounted for. We've got the front sight in place. We've got the front barrel band retained on both ends as it should be. The bolt is all together, and our trigger guard has the proper screws in it. Let's go ahead and take this thing out to the range and see how well she works. Fingers crossed. Okay, everybody. Got her all back together. Every missing part accounted for. Let's load her up and see how she works. Got 10 rounds loaded on stripper clips. 5. 10. Fingers crossed.
got through all 10 without a hiccup. Could have definitely done better on the accuracy, but we do have the target at about 80 yards, shooting with a 300-yard sight, so probably wasn't accounting for that enough. Regardless, number 4 Mk1 restored. You'll probably see this video pop up a couple more times in the future, maybe in versus videos against some of the Axis weaponry we've got access to. Access. Anyway, hope you all have enjoyed this video. Thank you again to Matt for supplying this gun for restoration. And we'll see you next time on Great Northwest Weaponry.